gates of hell as we make our way to heaven through the Nazi lines. Viva Victoria!
Evening, guys. Just a quick video here, starting a new build. If you watched my previous video, I mentioned when I finished the B-17 that I would be starting another build. Actually, be building this for the same guy. So this is a pretty big box, but this is what I'll be building. Get that glare off there. This is the Tamiya 1350 Bismarck. I've actually just very briefly started on it, on the hull. This kit is actually a one-piece hull, but there is quite a seam line down the middle that does need to be cleaned up. I didn't realize actually how excuse me. I actually didn't realize how old this kit actually is. The stamping on the mold is actually 1978, so I didn't realize it was as old as that. Besides starting to clean up of the hull, the only thing I did was put these propeller stern tubes in. Or where the stern tube goes. You see there's a little bit of a seam here where they go together. I just need to put a little bit of putty on that to dress it up a little bit. And then I just need to put the shaft supports here on either side. Then I can put the shaft in. I'm not going to put the propellers on, and I'm not going to put the rudders on until the towards the very end. Probably be one of the last things I'll do, just because these rudders will just hang down. You touch them, they're going to break off, so you'll be constantly fixing those. And then once that bit is done, then I'll actually paint the hull. I'm going to do it in the late May 1941 camo scheme. The Bismarck, of course, it was only in operation for a very short time before it was sunk. So it only had, or that I know of anyways, it only had two camo schemes on it. So I'll be doing the latter one. Just show you one other thing here. Sorry guys, just had to step away for a second. So I think one of the more challenging parts on this kit is going to be the deck. Because this is a relatively old kit, you can see all of this deck equipment, hatches and stuff, these bollards, that's all molded in. So that means that this has to be masked off when you go to paint the deck, or you paint the deck and then paint this. So I think the painting of the deck is going to be probably the most challenging part of this. Could be wrong. The other thing is the chains are molded in. I'm going to be removing those and putting some real chain on there. And I'm also, of course, going to paint the deck markings on here, the swastika. A fellow YouTuber has a vinyl cutting machine. He's going to help me out and cut some masks for me for that. Of course, that swastika goes on the forward deck and on the aft deck as well. And the aft deck is the same. It has a lot, all your bollards and stuff are all built in, or all molded in. So masking and painting these decks is going to be quite a chore, I think. This is the mid deck. Same. Luckily for this one, there's a lot of superstructure in this part of the deck, so there'll be less masking for this one. But so I'll kind of be building this much like if any of you guys have built a ship. You kind of treat, or at least I do, kind of treat each part of it as its own separate build, really. So, the bridge section would be, I'd consider that as its own build. The casing or funnel, whatever you want to call it, that would be treated as its own build. So that's kind of how I like to tackle ship builds. I've only done a few, but I find that's the best way to do it. Like I said, I'm not building this for myself. I'm building it for a friend of mine at work who I built a few kits for in the past. So I do need to check with him. I don't know if he wants to go with a real wooden deck for this or not. But if he doesn't, I'll just have to paint it. There's no big deal. So anyways, guys, that's the next build I'll be starting. The last ship that I built for John, same guy, took me a little over a year. I'm hoping this one doesn't take that long, but we'll see. I guess the other difficult part of this will be the rigging. There's a fair, even though it's a World War II battleship, it has a fair amount of rigging on it, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge as well. So anyways, guys, enough rambling. As always, thanks for watching, and hope you stay tuned for the updates.